before we get into this evening's live, I would like to go over a few different things that I think are the most important, that I think are going to play a really big factor, and just some areas where we're coming up to now of critical resistance. XRP's right up against it right now. That first area is 225, but ultimately it's going to need to push over and hold that $2.29 area. We've got Bitcoin coming up, and we're going to be approaching, I believe it's resistance area number, what is this going to be, 3 now maybe? We've come up a lot here today. Over 5,500 points. Not sure what's going on there with TradingView, but I'll just reset it. But it's come up about 5,500 points or 6.3% here on the day. And with where we were at, what is going on? I'm not sure what's going on. It's all kind of messed up here. That's interesting. That is very interesting, TradingView. Let's see if it's like that on the other charts too. Let's go to XRP real quick. What's going on here? That's weird. They must have had some kind of update that I don't remember seeing, because now it's got literally the pinch and hold. That's kind of interesting. Let's do something like this. They made it a little bit different here, so this is going to be interesting. It's going to take a second. But yeah, I don't know why Bitcoin looks like this. Interesting. I wonder if I'm just gonna have to reset this whole thing. Bitcoin looks like trash on here. It's not often it messes up and cracks out like this, but it is pretty, in real time, there's not much I can do.
Are you having issues?
Nah, just TradingView. It's nothing I haven't.
Thursday we
Okay. Let's go into settings. We're gonna try to take out go into apps. We'll just reset TradingView and see if maybe that'll help it. It's not the first time this has happened. It's certainly not the last time. It's annoying, but when you do something every single day, you just kind of got to deal with what happens. So just clear this out real quick. Yeah, this is wild. This is wild. Interesting. It's funny that it's working in this fashion right now. It really is, because this is going to make it pretty interesting, because if we can't look at Bitcoin in the proper perspective, there's always something to be said for doing things in real time, and this is one of those things that's going to become rather annoying here pretty quickly. I'm a little disappointed that this is working the way it is, because I can't even look at Bitcoin. Like, hey, why would I want to look at Bitcoin when it's, you know, leading the pack here? Like, it's not, it's. And now YouTube looks like it's going to disconnect. So, see, now everything's working against me. It happens like this sometimes. Oh, it happens. Like, now I don't even know if I'm talking to anybody. That's what the screwed up part is. Yeah, this is wild. Well, I guess I'm going to be talking my own stuff, and you'll get to see what YouTube lets. I mean, look how this is working right now. It's not even, it's not properly, it's like I don't know what's going on right now. I've never had it work in this fashion. It's acting as if I'm pinching the screen when I'm not. So it's not actually letting me use the toolbar. But the Bitcoin one is the one that sucks, because I can't even get a proper look at this. This is wild. I don't really want to restart my screen, so to say, but this is pretty, let's just say this is nonsense. This is real nonsense right now. I mean, there's nothing I'm going to be able to do on my end, so we're probably just going to have to talk this through. But it kind of sucks, because, like, TradingView, like, what am I supposed to do, TradingView? Like, Not much I can do here if TradingView's not cooperating. Like, look at this. I can't even look at my charts. I think I need to reset this. I mean, there's not much more I can say. Oh, wait a minute. Ah, there we go. See, sometimes you see it and you realize. So for some reason, when it updated, it locked the bar to the screen. I was going to say something's not right here. So this much easier. See, sometimes you just got to talk it out. So anyhow, so Bitcoin, and that's, you know, real time's kind of fun like that sometimes when you're watching, because then you can see it's not just all cut and dry when you're doing something. There's always frustrations. If I would have went outside myself, I probably wouldn't have figured it out. I would have got so emotional, but at least I maintained my composure. And in that situation, you know, we were able to power through it. But there's a lesson in keeping your emotions in check, because that definitely helped there, that's for sure. So the resistance right now, we already went through 87,691. And remeasuring it out, because we never came back down, we need to do it appropriately from the breakout point, which was right around 82,416 on that back test. Now it all depends. Are we going to hit this 93,136, and can we get over it and hold? Right now we're underneath. And then the max resistance is right around 99. I actually like that 97,000 better. Now I know why I did that. Now I know why I did that. I think it made more sense around that 97,000 and some change. But 99,000, it is what it is. But I like that lower level. We'll call it 90. Well, we'll split the difference. 98,633. But that's what's over the top. So that's a better than 5,500 point move. So basically double. And we've been running hard. It's been a hard run. And it's very clearly broken out. It formed this inverse pattern. It never came down to form the technical inverse right shoulder. Kind of just powered through. It's elevated. XRP, on the other hand, it had a couple different paths that it took, and it took one or two very lucrative routes. And we've made no bones about it. Like, I thought maybe $1.83 would be better because it would have filled it out more, but there's nothing wrong with the elevated inverse right shoulder. We drew it out like this before it ever happened, which is what makes me feel happy about this. That we understood this pattern before, like we had this big surge and then back test. So we knew it was going to be one of two if this was an inverse head and shoulders, which it very clearly looked like to us. So now the measured move, it broke out now. Now we've got to hold, and we're not technically broken out right now. It's kind of like a double top in the area, but you need to get over, we were saying 225 before, and then ultimately 229. Well, we're going to take it a step further now, because now we've got the evidence in front of us about where this, let's get this real quick. It's right here. It's right here. So that's where we're going to have to get this. That's where we're going to have to get this. Of course, let's see. Well, it's not letting me put that line across, but, you know, we have a lot of things that are happening right now on TradingView that, I don't know, it updated and it reset everything real weird. Maybe I should have looked at it before I started. But, so, we took the one or two lucrative routes, and now you ask yourself, like, where are those lines? We've got, so, this is the way I look at it. So, I think $2.29 is a very big pivot level. You get above that, then we're going to start working. Then you can start talking about 265. Yes, I know 248, but, you know, I'm getting sick of these micro levels. So, we have to get past 265. So, anywhere in between there and we don't get past, well, we get stuck down. And then once you get past that, I really think then you end up dealing with that $2.98 area. And then once you get out of that, then you got some noise that can be made. But until you break those three decisive levels, to me, that's where we're going next. We're trying to get past 229, and then we can start to rally into that 265, 298 areas. And I think that's what we're trying to do. It's just I didn't know which route we were going to take. Was that down to 199 fine, which it ended up being, or $2 or whatever it ended up being when it hit right here, 203? Or did it need to come back down and form like a more generic inverse right shoulder? There's nothing wrong with having the elevated inverse right arm. Although not as traditional, it's very powerful. It's showing a lot of strength by the bulls and not even let it come back down and stabilize and back into the channel. So we broke out of the channel And then back testing it, we created a symmetrical triangle, or a descending triangle, I should say, not symmetrical. The descending triangle, which if you're looking and you're not sure what I'm talking about, so the descending channel would be right here. Downtrending resistance, downtrending support. We have a high, lower high, lower high, lower high, breakout. We have a low, lower low, lower low, lower low, breakout. So now we have this channel that was formed, broke down below it with the inverse head, came right back up, got credibility within the channel from support to resistance back to the breakout, back tested it to validate it, and fill the gaps on the way back up. And now it's kind of doing this just traditionally. This is actually pretty nice now. You know, so now it's put us in a position. There's one that I told the Telegram earlier, just randomly, I said, if I was a bet man, I would look at Quant. It was up maybe 0.5%, 0.75%. It still doesn't move much. What was it, 1 or 2% today? It's just something that I would probably pay attention to. A lot of people ask me about Quant. It hasn't moved. It's up like 2%. But for some reason, overnight and earlier this morning, I got a tug in that direction. And I'm not talking about a tug going to an Asian parlor or whatever. I'm talking about a tug in like the self-conscious kind of way to be like paying attention to this asset. But I don't know if that tug is from the 4-hourly, if it's for a impending big move back up because it's been on such a drop. But I do feel like it was kind of a powerful feel. But we did come up to the 4-hourly now. You know, so now we got to get on top of 70 bucks. Got to get on top of 70 bucks. And I think it's one to actually pay attention to because you got the inverse head. Here, I'll show you. I already spent more time on Quant than I intended on to, but I can't stop talking about it unless I tell you. So inverse head, inverse left shoulder, inverse head, and inverse right shoulder formed. So now you would assume that this should start to get a little parabolic, and we should probably come up here and retest the daily based on current flow, and it seems to be awfully far behind. So I'd say in time you're going to come up to like 76 bucks. Does that mean you come out and leverage trade it or buy a spot? I don't know. I'm not a financial advisor. But if you're asking me, I can guarantee you shouldn't do leverage trading. But that doesn't mean you can't do spot. We've had a hard and bad feeling about MXC for quite some time after a nice rally up. It was up like 40 something. We had a nice surge and I decided to sell it because it kept getting rejected by an area that it should not have gotten rejected by. And then when it came down to my buy areas, I decided not to buy it because it wasn't looking right. There was no volume coming in. It kind of got stuck, you know. And I kept getting asked in the Telegram, I'm like, I'm going to wait because if worst case scenario happens, it's going to flip a zero. And it seemed absurd because that's like a 50% drop from where it was at, or 60 at the time. And now all of a sudden yesterday, and it's recovered some, it's only down 35% right now. But if I'm being honest, how you doing?
Good. You want to sell that?
I'm actually in the middle of doing some work right now, but hold on, guys. Hold on one sec. I'll be right back. What's going on?
Interested in selling it?
I don't know. I mean, I'll definitely do it, but I'm going to sell it. It's going to be gone.
I know it's specific for a while.
But I used to use it for work for a kid. Oh, yeah. I think it's not. Trucks and things.
Well, yeah, I buy cars that are, well, usually I buy truck cars and stuff, but we just bought cars for years, so it's nice.
Yeah, no.
What's your number? I'll call you.
248. Yeah, just send me.
What's your name? Tom. What's your name?
Definitely get.
What do you think? Around price range?
Something, man.
I got you.
Obviously, if I do, I can.
Yeah. That's fine. I got a trailer.
The thing I gotta do is try to find the people.
Do you have it though? see your name, you know, you can go to the bank credit. All right. You too, man. Take care.
Yep. Sorry about that. So just some business stuff. I have an old Charger out well, it's not old, but it's from 2008 that I used to drive. I'm the only owner, but it's been sitting there for a few years now that I stopped driving, and it got beat up. I used to use it for cable lines and stuff, but everybody always get people stop by all the time that want to buy it. But I do need to get rid of it out of here, but you know, we'll see what happens. But so anyhow, Bitcoin being up 6.15%. So it's really going to come down to these levels. It's going to come down to levels. I want to go to MXC though, because it had a tank job. And it confirmed our worst fears, unfortunately. And it's why I just couldn't get back in it. And every time I was asked about it, I'm just like, I can't do it, because I can feel that flip. But, you know, when it was down 50%, when I woke up this morning, I almost kicked myself for not just taking a shot in the dark there, a couple $1,000s. It's already up, like, it's done a pretty good job off the bottom. But with Bitcoin, 93,136 is that area. Just, we've had this out here. Just make sure you pay attention to that. If it can get above and have a close over there, that's going to be interesting. If it uses it as a layer of support, it's going to be very interesting, because then we're going to be pushing that almost 99K area pretty quickly. Like this happens quickly with Bitcoin. It's just, where's that rejection point? Because the drop down also happens very quickly with Bitcoin. ADA's up 7.6, Canto's up 8%, Casper's up 5.8, Quant 2.2, ZBEX down 7.3, AMP's up 4.6, VELO's up 7%. And then you've got MXC that's down 35.3%. But it was down much more. But it's come off the bottom here a little bit. And you figure it would have to fill some kind of gap. So there's rumors like it got delisted on some exchanges and things like that. But where did I see it? I seen that 009 something. So like I kick myself sometimes when I look at things like that and don't do anything. Like the fact I didn't have it and it dropped 50%. It was down 50% legitimately, like 49.8 when I woke up. And I look at it and I'm like, man. And now it's come up 14% on the day. But that was still the equivalent of like 40% or something if you would have bought the bottom. Almost 50 from the bottom. So, you know, there's definitely big things that happen there. And that it absolutely fall out. But now the problem is that going to form a big bear flag? Is this going to form something that can come all the way back up? Like if it was just a delisting, you know, it ends up becoming a catastrophic thing. And you can see how just in the short term from April 6th, it formed a rising channel for almost 2.5 weeks. And yeah, it came over the resistance, but that was just a trap. And now that's it, man, oh man. That's just brutal. That was a brutal drop. And the other reason I couldn't buy it was in price discovery in the wrong direction. Like it had hit lows that it never hit. So you don't know where the floor's at in price discovery. Just like you don't know where the ceiling's at in price discovery. It's awesome when you're in price discovery in the bullish side. But in the bearish side, it's scary, man. You don't know where it falls out. How there's rumors that, you know, like the developer has changed like coding and stuff like that. And if that's the case, that even if it's an IoT token, I mean, I want to know what's going on with this framework to where they would have the developers would be changing that kind of stuff and change it. There was just some weird stuff going on there. So, you know, but as money does flow, risk assets are doing good, right? So money finds yield where it finds. So now what happens is the safe money sees precious metal, or the safe money and the safe havens like precious metals, or the more perceived safe, even though they're very risky, the mining stocks, but the precious metals in particular, they see Bitcoin, they see risk assets, they see the stock market start to move, they start to pull it out of the safe asset, retail mostly, and then they start putting it back into these riskier plays. And that's why gold's down $51 or 1.5%. That's part of it. Also had a very big push up very quickly. But I could see a nice, healthy comeback down now. That's why when everybody kept asking about the mining stocks, it's like that play's already over. Because now it was up 35. It's going to give most of that back as it retraces. It always does. So it's like a zero-sum game there. You've got to buy it, and then you've got to kind of ride it through the dividend payments for a year or two. and then you'll start to get that max appreciation if you bought it in the right cycle. But that's a game that I wouldn't want to play from where it's at right now. That's why I don't promote it too much. I like when people own the mining stocks, but not after 40% rallies, because I know how volatile they are. But right now, it's definitely some of the attention today has shifted back. But pay attention to the mining stocks when you get pullbacks like they have today and a little bit yesterday. These are when I would open my eyes to it more, rather than being like, oh, go buy it now because it's up, 45% in 5 days like it was a week and a half ago. So just keep your mind paying attention. So good evening. 6:19 or 6:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025, 222. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. Notice the price of XRP has been at 222 while I've been doing that intro. See, the angels are watching over us, and we are doing the right stuff. We are doing the right stuff. We're in the right positioning. We're paying attention properly. And, when Zill flipped that zero, I had to buy. I was compelled. I'd never seen Zill with 2 zeros, since I've been doing this for over 4 years now. So it's one of those things, and V-Chain so undervalued. H-bar is way down there. But I mean, it's all perspective of what you want. You can't have everything, but you can certainly own what's near and dear to your heart. And that's why when you own something, and let this be a lesson, if you own something that you actually believe in, rather than, the BS meme tokens and things like that, you'll be more likely to not just hold when it's just a consolidation that has to happen, but you'll be more likely to add additional tokens when it gets into the proper consolidation. And XRP, it's continued to hold these areas where it's giving it a very strong, compelling case where we can take one of these 2 lucrative routes, and we've taken one of them. So it's interesting. So this is stuff that's been circulating today. And the one thing I wanted to talk about before I get into talking to everybody as well is the new chairman was all right, let me just go into here. So Mr. Atkins, the new SEC chairman, Paul, he was sworn in today. So let's see if I can get a quick clip. 32 minutes. All right, so I just wanted to show real quick so you guys could actually see this, because he was sworn in today. I wonder if this is a small version. So this is Paul Atkins, just so you can see that he actually got sworn in.
That I will support and defend the Constitution.
All right, that's as much as I can take of that bullshit. But as you can see, I'm not fibbing you. He was actually sworn in. And then in the other news, let's see how much validity there is here, if it's actually circulating right now. Because I don't really see anything about that. Oh, why does it say SDC? I didn't look deep today. I mean, I know there was talks about it, but I didn't know if they actually did something different, because I don't. Let's see. Because I know we have to wait the 60 days, so I mean, I don't think there's anything new development, so to say. Not that I've seen. Who knows? Maybe somebody will say something when I decide to look at the comments. Because I will. This is just a new way I do things. After about 30 minutes or so, I'll look at the comments. I don't even know what time I started this, so who knows? Maybe 6:40 I'll look at the comments. Key fact today, the SEC has dropped its lawsuit against Ripple Labs over XRP, previously deemed a $1.3 billion unregistered securities offerings, as state authorities ramp up crypto regulations. So here's what's happening in crypto today. In crypto, let's see. DeFi development. All right, I mean, let's read what's going on in crypto. So today in crypto, publicly listed, I want to know. Companies are broadening their crypto reserve strategies to include more tokens. A recent lawsuit from Oregon's Attorney General's labels XRP and other digital assets as unregistered securities. Oh, I remember this. In Oregon, that's what it was. And Paul Atkins has officially been sworn in as chair of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. DeFi Development Corp adds 11.5 million Solana, shares jumped 12%. DeFi Development Corporation, formerly known as Janover, is ramping up its Solana treasury strategy following a buyout led by Kraken executives. According to an April 22nd announcement, the company added 88,164 Solana to its treasury, worth 11.5 million, and bringing its Solana stake to 34.4 million. On April 7th, DeFi Development Corporation was acquired by a group of former Kraken executives. As part of the deal, the company announced a shift toward crypto, including a rebrand in Solana and a Solana-based reserve treasury. Before the transition, Janover operated in the real estate financing space, linking lenders with commercial property buyers. Since the takeover, the company has made multiple purchases of Solana, including a buy of 10.5 million on April 16th. With the latest purchase, DeFi Development Corporation total holdings stand at 251,842 Solana. The company plans to stake the tokens to generate additional yield. Shares of DeFi Development Corporation were up 12.83% on the news, according to Google Finance. Oregon Attorney General lawsuit against Coinbase calls XRP an unregistered security. Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield's lawsuit against Coinbase argues that XRP and other digital assets are unregistered securities. You can email Daniel Rayfield at I'm a jackass at Daniel Rayfield. Man, we're not going to go there, but you know, that's what ends up happening here. So, you know, when they start putting all this BS back out there, something bigger is in the works. So, don't even give him your attention. This guy's a tool. Rayfield sued U.S.-based publicly traded crypto exchange Coinbase for allegedly violating Oregon's securities law. In an April 18th announcement, the Oregon Department of Justice said the suit was part of an effort to fill what it described as a regulatory vacuum left by federal agencies under the Trump administration. States must fill enforcement vacuum being left by federal regulators who are abandoning their case under Trump administration, the department said. Coinbase chief legal officer Paul Grewal voiced his frustration over the lawsuit on April 21st. In an April 21st X post, Justin Slaughter, the vice president of regulatory affairs at crypto investment firm Paradigm, pointed out the lawsuit claims a long list of digital assets, including XRP, are unregistered securities. Interesting, because XRP, remember, this is where all that bullshit, the rest of them are going to have to deal with it. XRP has already been ruled by the law of the land. Remember, the Securities and Exchange Commission. This has already been federally ruled by a federal prosecutor, by a federal judge. The central banks have their hands all over XRP's testicular fortitude zones. Over its testicles, you get what I'm saying. So, AAVE, UNI, Flow, Link, MKR are all going to have to deal with it. XRP doesn't. Remember, it can never, ever be ruled a security. So they can throw it into all this bullshit they want, but this is something I talked about in 21. When they're going after all these other tokens, and they will, XRP is going to almost be given the golden ticket. And I say almost because 95% of people who read this are going to say, oh my God, XRP's back as a security. Oh, this is bullshit. I ain't touching this with a 10-foot pole. This thing's worse than my ex-wife. You know, like, that's what people are saying in the audience. This XRP's passed around more than the hooker down at 9 Mile. I get it. But this is just old news here because XRP's already been acquitted. The rest of them are going to have to fight. Uniswap, AVE, Flow. I mean, all of these are going to have to. So you already know it. So XRP, Solana, whatever. Basically, no matter your asset or project, or Attorney General Dan Rayfield has accused you of violating security laws and fleecing your token holders. It's why we notified about 560,000 Coinbase customers in Oregon about the unlawful actions taken in their name. More to come, but one thing that jumps out about the Oregon Attorney General suit is it actually covers many more tokens than the SEC complaint did. Remember I said this was going to happen, folks. I'm going to be interested to see what everybody says. I said this would happen, and this would be the most powerful time for a play for XRP. Sure, go ahead, sue 100 of them. I don't care. Keep throwing XRP's name in it. It's already... XRP's going to give you the old fungu because it's already been there, done that, and it's already been determined. XRP don't have to worry about this. The rest of these cocksuckers might have to, excuse my language, but they might have to. And they're going to have to go through the same bullshit XRP did. But guess what? When they're all trying to figure out the landscape, when they're all trying to figure out a way to get out of it, when all the people are afraid to invest in crypto because they're afraid that all these securities are going to be coming through, unregistered nonetheless, XRP's already got its clarity. So the smart man and the smart money and the institutions will say, well, you know, why take our chance here where it could drop 50 or 100%? Why not just take our running chance here with XRP because it's already got clarity? Seems pretty logical to me. Yarden Noy, partner of crypto legal firm DLT, told Cointelegraph that if the court ruled these assets are securities, it would mostly create more confusion in this regard. It would not be a binding precedent in other cases, not even with Oregon, he added. Paul Atkins, nominated by Trump, sworn in as SEC chair. Atkins has officially been sworn in as the 34th chairman of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. The April 21st announcement comes nearly 2 weeks after Atkins' position was confirmed by the U.S. Senate in a 52-44 vote on April 9th. And this is from the Financial Services GOP. The committee congratulates Paul Atkins as he was sworn in, and we already know that's about as much as we need to do. So I'm honored and trust. We'll just read what they said, for fuck's sake. He will bring a common sense approach to regulation and usher in an era of prosperity and innovation to make U.S. capital markets the envy of the world. I'm honored by the trust, confidence President Trump and the Senate have placed in me to lead the SEC, said Atkins, who served as the SEC commissioner between 2002 and 2008. Atkins is widely expected to lead a more crypto-friendly Securities and Exchange Commission than former Chair Gary Gensler under the Biden administration. So, a lot to digest, obviously. Where do we begin? Don't get suckered. That's the sucker's bet, folks. Don't get suckered into believing that with XRP, that there's any validity. If there's any validity, and the more we can see stuff... Oh, there was a very vulnerable moment with the XRP ledger. And y'all know my feeling on some of this. But we'll read through it because that's obviously something big. The sentiment's changing, but we want to see that XRP sentiment's dead. That's what they said about gold, and look where gold's at. Now they'll be like, oh, gold dropped off a $50. Yeah, but it's over. It's still over. It's almost 3,400 still. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. 33. It was 3,400. Now it's 3,324. So now today it's down 54. I meant to say it's still 33. I was thinking maybe it came under 33 or $54 in my head, but I misspoke. God, I sound like an asshole. That's okay. I'm used to that. So the XRP ledger, and then I'll probably look at comments shortly. I'll look at comments. If you appreciate my work, make sure to hit that like button. We did go over 34,000 subscribers just a day and a half ago, which meant a lot to me as we continue to pile up the subscribers. I would love to see new members in Tom's Army. If you believe in what I do, you appreciate the fact that this is free and I've never charged for a single piece of my content. Since I started this journey over 4 years ago on YouTube on March 24th of 2021, I've never missed a day. I would love on days when we have price appreciation to see some of you join Tom's Army and take that leap for the first time for $9.99 a month. It's the most important thing anybody could do in my community because it helps me do what I do. And I do it for free. I know I could hide behind paywalls. It's good enough, blah, 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 yada, yada. I've been told everything until the sun or the roosters come to, and the chickens come to roost, right? Or whatever you want to say. Till the sun comes up, I'm blue in the face. But I know how it was when I didn't have any money and I was trying to find help, and then people are telling me to pay for something. That's hiding behind a paywall. And I didn't even have the fucking $5 to pay, or $25 or $500 for the class. So, or the course. So I just have a simple motto. It stays free. And then the pay it forward mentality. You can send a YouTube super chat. Hell, if you don't have any money, you can share this. You can like this. You can comment for the algorithm. I don't care how you donate to the channel. It's more than just monetary purposes. Yes, it makes me feel good to see people pay out of their hard-earned money for something that I've created. But I still like to see people pay it forward by liking, sharing, commenting, telling somebody who might not even know on the streets, hey, here's a guy, XRP future millionaire. He could use your help. He's struggling to keep his light bill on, but he knows what he's talking about. And they say, oh, I'm just kidding. He won a championship. You know, Michigan won the championship. You might as well go watch, see what he's saying. It's true, my hat says it. XRP Ledger Foundation discloses serious vulnerability in recently updated version of the XRP Ledger JavaScript library. A new version of the XRPL package, a JavaScript library for interacting with the XRP Ledger, appears to have been released with a security issue. According to a disclosure from the XRP Ledger Foundation on Tuesday, and how many of you have heard of this? Charlie Erickson, the Aikido security malware researcher who identified the vulnerability, said it could lead to a potentially catastrophic supply chain attack on the system. XRP Ledger engineers have seemingly addressed the concern by releasing updated versions of the code to override the compromised packages and recommend that anyone using the impacted JavaScript libraries version 4.2.1 through 4.2.2 whatever version 2.14.2 update immediately. The team also said it would release a post-mortem, kind of sounds like it died, post-mortem of the issue once it had a better understanding of how it was released. To clarify, this vulnerability is XRP.js, a JavaScript library for interacting with the XRP Ledger. It does not affect the XRP Ledger codebase or GitHub repository itself. Projects using XRPL.js should upgrade to version 4.2.5 immediately, the foundation wrote in a separate post. XRP Ledger is a blockchain launched by Ripple Labs over a decade ago for cross-border payments and tokenization. According to Erickson, a backdoor was inserted into recently released versions of the software development kit used to build applications and interact with the XRP Ledger. Damn it, I talked about these stupid backdoors when they started back in 22 and early 23, late 22 when I discovered it. It really pissed me off. And this is why. Why even leave that fucking backdoor there? That's like me leaving my key in the fucking dirt next to my car and say, hey, if you dig a little bit, you can steal my fucking car. What the hell sense does that make? Like, come on, that's the stupidest thing. Hey, here's the fucking key to my front door. All you got to do is look in the bush. And you can walk into my, like, what the hell? It's so stupid. I hate when I see backdoors created. Hey, to the robber, to the one who wants to steal your shit, here's an open door invitation to come take my virtual currency. Like, fuck you. Excuse me. Because I'm not a thief, but it drives me nuts because we do a lot of work to get our wealth. Anything that we have. And it isn't judged by the color of our skin. It's judged by the passion of our work. The dedication in our hearts. How much time are you willing to give up to get what you want? And not bitching and moaning and pissing and complaining and playing the race and the victim and all this other bullshit. Be positive. Show momentum in yourself. The biggest belief you can show is investing in yourself. My sister went back to work finally. She was married in a bad relationship for over a decade. And now she's living with my dad with her kids. And she got a job. She got a job yesterday. And like I told her, she said something. I said, this is the biggest investment you can make is in yourself. Like, I told her I was proud of her. It's like, it's never too late, you know. It's never too late to invest in yourself. So sometimes you got to look and play the spade and say, you know what? Forget this political, this racist, this economical bullshit. Stop with all of the nonsense and just look yourselves in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm not good enough right now, but I can be. I did that to myself 7 years ago when I had credit under 500. Me and Julie didn't have a pot to piss in, literally. We were living in a tin can, basically, and we couldn't even pay the bills. We were going into debt and the negative in the bank account just to pay the bills. That's a good feeling when you're minus 200 after paying the bills and then you barely make, you know. So anyhow, but it was one day I just looked at myself and said, you got to fucking do something. That at 30 is when I started to do that. I said, by the time you're 40, you got to be set up or you're fucked. And that's not necessarily true, but when you hit 40, man, you better have something set up. Otherwise, the years go quick. So I think 30 is the wake-up call. You know, when you hit 30, you got to wake up. Especially by 35. You got to slap yourself in the face at 35 and say, listen, we've been dicking around here too long. And think about it. And I know we're going off course, but this is why I like to talk without looking at comments, because you get a view of who I am. So think about this. You turn 18. You turn 20. Things are a little difficult. You don't know how to find your way. That's fine. You sit down, you play some video games. You go out to the bar or the strip club, you bang a few people, you know, man or woman, you guys are getting your rocks off. And we start looking at it like that. We're trying to get the rush. We're going to the casino. We're doing everything. Before you know it, by doing these same things, a year passes, turns into 2, turns into 5, turns into a decade. And all of a sudden, you're not just out of high school. You just turned 30. And you don't have shit to show for it. Well, a lot of people think the fun gets taken away when we're older. That's only true if you don't have anything to show for yourself because you can't live. It's much funner for me at 41 than it was when I was 18. I can guarantee you it. Especially 23 and I broke my back in a car accident, but that's another story for another story. Or another story for another day. You know, but it's a lot easier and I have a lot more fun at 41 than I ever did in my 20s or 30s. Because I, at some point, took responsibility and took control. And I was born with nothing. We were piss poor broke. So, like, there's no excuse of, oh, he had money when no, we didn't have shit. That's what my dad's the most proud of because I made something of myself. Not even doing anything we were ever taught. Nobody told us, oh, you're going to become a social media influencer and or you're going to be able to do it through cryptocurrency. Or you're going to be able to figure out how to trade stocks. Like, no, my family, even the ones who are well off, would go to a financial advisor. I don't go to a financial advisor. I am my own motherfucking financial advisor. Excuse my language. But until you take control of yourself, so what? Some idiot's going to tell me to buy the FANG stocks. I could buy Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Google, Alphabet, all this shit. I could buy it. Well, what's so hard about that? Give me the daily simple returns, and then when the market goes down, you're screwed. If my portfolio is down 30%, it's because I'm an idiot, not because somebody else is an idiot. According to Erickson, I bet I can hear JW saying, you know, Tom, as much as I want you to stop talking, this isn't so bad. You're just ripping on yourself. That's okay. According to Erickson, a backdoor was inserted into recently released versions of a software development kit used to build that stupid backdoor. That's what got me. Interact with the XRP ledger. The issue could conceivably enable malicious attackers to steal users' private keys. Like, why? I'm sorry, but why? Why would you even give a backdoor that could allow users? This, to me, has always been the backdoor to allow the U.S. government to confiscate our stuff, even in a ledger format. Private keys and potentially gain unauthorized access to their wallets. Though it's unclear if anyone has been, of course somebody has, believe me. And you know, I know, because if 0 people were impacted, you wouldn't be hearing about this. Nobody would have heard. Aikido Intel started to alert us to 5 new package version of the XRP Ledger package. It is the official SDK for the XRP Ledger with more than 140,000 weekly downloads. Erickson wrote, this package is used by hundreds of thousands of applications and websites, making it a potentially catastrophic supply chain attack on the cryptocurrency ecosystem. He noted that the potential attack would be limited to third-party services that updated to the malicious versions within a short window. The backdoor also appears to be limited only to versions of the code on Node Package Manager NPM, a GitHub-like tool used by developers to share reusable JavaScript packages for Node.js projects. Several projects related to XRP, including Zaman Wallet and XRP Scan, noted that their services are likely secure. Likely. You know, it's like I tell the people who are controlling money in the bank or when I'm paying for a service, oh, you're likely okay. No, I need a little bit better than likely. You know, your car's likely going to get you to your destination. I'm going to need a little bit more than that when I'm leaving a service stop. You know, our gasoline will likely work. No. I'm going to need to know it's not going to destroy my engine. Don't say likely. I hate that word. It's likely. No, that just is the first word closest to you're fucked, in my opinion. Whenever somebody says you're likely, no, say you're good. Don't say likely. I hate that. So you're likely secure, which means I'm not. Which means you're not. If you believe that you may be impacted, it's important to assume that any seed or private key that was processed by the code has been compromised. Erickson said, those keys should no longer be used and any asset associated with them should be moved to another wallet. So yeah, it'll be easy. Now you got to get your 18 fucking word passphrase, type that bullshit in, and then try to redo it again. But hopefully you didn't throw it away. That's why I hate that crap. So we got authenticators and this other crap, but we got to throw in 25 password phrase that doesn't help anybody because a randomizer could just regenerate it for themselves, even if that... it's over some people's heads, so why even talk about it? So, let's look at the stuff. How long has it been? 44 minutes. Wow. See? And I'm doing good. You know how I know? 152 people watching, 100 likes. If I was looking at the comments, it wouldn't have been this entertaining. I can promise you that. So we'll see if what kind of response we get. What kind of response we get. What kind of response? You know, and one of these days, somebody will donate while I'm talking and not looking to the screen. All right, let's see. Oh, it was great for my sister. I thought so. Don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to Tom's channel for the best TA on YouTube. Oh, I appreciate that, Ore. Thank you and Syrian for both being very trusted mods of me and Tom's Army for over 6 months plus with the XP Predictor along with Papa Wheelie. Kryptonian, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Bad. Did you get my I'm about XCN explains ties to Stellar? I found you saying, oh, I'll have to take a look at that. I'll have to take a look at that. I did not. I was not on X, unfortunately. I've had a pretty busy day, so it's remarkable that we're doing this live, and I brought the energy I did. It's been a busy day. My son being special needs, it's definitely it's a chore that I signed up for, and I want to be well, I didn't sign up for, but I'm glad I'm the person I'm glad, let's put it this way. For my little guy, I'm glad that I was the one who was given that job. I'm glad that the Lord and Savior said, you are the right person for this person. You know, you're the right person for the needs of this little man. Because I think I'm the best person for it. Let's see. Don't regret it, Kryptonian. Don't regret missing days. The important part is you're here. Hey, Tom, can you do me a favor and pull up the macro chart of XRP to November and give me a feel for what you think may be coming? Oh, I always give the micro and the macro. You just kind of got to pull it out a little bit, like you said. Right now, if this took the lucrative route, my friend, we've got a big appreciation coming. And we just won't know yet. Like, it's way, way too early. Because technically, you know, it's just way too early. Right now, we haven't even got over 225 or 229, which are, in my opinion, two of the biggest levels we have to deal with. And it's by no surprise that we got rejected at 225 initially. None at all. Zero. You know, it's actually to be expected. Because we're trying to fill in the gap layers as we go. And it's better to fill in the gap layers instead of doing it at the end. It really is, in my opinion. So, like, that's the channel version. That bounced off there, too. That's that version. Let's see if we got the upper boundary. So, our next big area, if you want to just look at it, hey, we got past 229 pivot point, will be 236. So, 236 is to get out of this descending, whatever you want to call it, descending triangle that we talked about before it came down to that third hit, and we said this is worst case scenario. It just depends where it hits and how it plays out. Well, now the worst case, even if it's bearish, you could still come up to 236 and get rejection, or somewhere that'll be in time as we continue to go. You'll have that downtrending resistance. So if you just go back to like, okay, November, where the breakout happened, this is what we have to break out of, my friend. So if you want to cut the shit and you want to just look at where we're at, 235 area right now is what's on board. So if we want to put it into the future, we'll put this into, let's just say Thursday we get here. 236.59 by Thursday. We'd have to break over. X does mark the spot, which is where it kind of meets that uptrend and the downtrend. This uptrend is very important because every time we come through it, we ended up validating this hit. So if we game through it again, the likelihood is we'll probably retest that 150 FEG. And I think that makes a lot of sense. If we come through here, I don't see how there's any way we're going to avoid that 150 area. So, you know, so now we kind of just line it up for there and we say, well, where would 150 be if we have to come through there? Well, that puts us into about June 12th. So mid-June. So we'll see if this plays out that way or if we can break out of here. But make no mistake about it. You can say 229, 225 don't matter, but they do. Pivot points, resistance structures. But 236 is the overwhelming factor right now that we have to get above. Oh, we have to get above this. And then we can start to look at it a little different. If we could get outside of there, then we could actually look at the peak for the first time because we've never had a chance to do it. And look at it for real. You know, that's the peak. And that's going to be the max resistance that, you know, we can act like it's not there, but eventually it's going to come into play. And now that, whoops. And now that we're coming up higher, we could actually say, you know, maybe it's starting. So now we'll push it out into the future a little bit more. So then you got 245 over the top. Now, I know some of you remember when we were writing out numbers in the beginning, we went 265. Remember the number I said, I don't want to keep talking about that 245. I said, I don't want to talk about that, but we all know it's there. That's because that's that resistance that we haven't connected yet that I showed you just now. That ties it in from the beginning of the update when I was blabbering. It wasn't just blabbering. I actually am talking for a reason. That's the area that I was talking about. Yeah, we can get past, but we have to get past 245 to even have that chance at 265 kind of thing. But I don't want to keep emphasizing that because it's a pain in the ass. Until we get there. Until we get there. But it's all relevant. This is all relevant. So, I mean, that would be more of your macro look from November. That's what we have to do. Like, we're in a heavy consolidation that could bring us all the way down to $1.48, $1.50 if you look at it at June 10th. You've got $2.47, $2.45 if you look at it, you know, in the near future as a heavy resistance. You got the underneath resistance at about 237. You've got the short resistance at 225 and then the pivot point at 229. That 229 can lead you to 237 and a recapture at 237 can bring you to 245. And then retaking 245 will slingshot you to that 265 pivot point. A break of that 265 pivot layer, you're going to 298. I know there's a $2.88 mark resistance, but again, I'm cutting out the short stack. And we're going to look at it from that perspective. Anything shy of continuing up and we come down below 199, that would send us down to $1.83. Anything below $1.83 is catastrophic and you'd come down to $1.50. Now I'm just pointing it the way it is. So, you know, that's a 51-minute live so far. Is it true Canto might go to $7? I think there's more of a chance of me growing feathers out my shoulders and start flying away than Canto hitting $7. But, you know, who knows? Who knows? But I do think I have a better chance of growing wings than Canto hitting 7. But you never know. Maybe I'll come back with wings one day. Let's see. I do appreciate everybody being in here. I do. I do. What else? I think I pretty much covered everything. I don't have to go over donations, no new members of Tom's Army, so I don't feel guilty if I shut this off. Let's see. Algo. I'll definitely look at Algo. Up 7.4% at 20.75 cents. Algo, I mean, it's broken out perfectly out of this short-term descending wedge almost, descending triangle. Now its next area was to push the resistance. That's what we were targeting. But once it gets over that, we've got a big breakout that could come up to that 57-cent area. Yeah, I'm about to end this, Julie. Ooh, yeah, so I need to end this. So, but yeah, and then the last thing, I guess real quick, is just DGB up 6.3%. Thank you so much, James, for the $2 donation. FEG and Quant Longman, you said something up 200. Oh, you're up 200 bucks right now, James? Is that what you just said? Oh, that would make me happy because I know you got a little kicked in the nuts with MXC. If you're up $200, I'll sing Sunny Days. Did you cash it? Perfect. Yeah, it's up 3.16% right now. I took a trade myself, so, but I still think, you know, we could come up. Just don't get too caught up in it. Remember, we came up to the 200-day already at 69.70. Now it's going to be our job to break through there. We have a nice inverse head and shoulders pattern. But in dedication to James, I'm going to sing this. And then I'm going to go because Julie just came over here. The girls are about to leave, so I need to do this right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know what time it is. Do you know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen? The sunny days are here again. Oh, sunny days. Oh, what a day. Oh, sunny days. Oh, what a day. I wear glasses 'cause I can't see a motherfucking thing. Happy days. Oh, happy days. Oh, what a day. Oh, happy days. Oh, what a day. XRP will reign supreme. Let's just not get caught in the FUD. Oh, we're gonna crash and we did and we will and we won't and we will and we did and we won't and they say it's dead and it isn't and it rose and it rises and it drops and it doesn't and it does. Oh yeah. Stay true. Stay blessed. What is this? What am I doing? Hey, it's like scissors. It's cutting. Nah, I don't know. This could get dirty if I keep doing this. Nah, the hell with it. We'll give him shoes. We're kind of just walking around. We're doing our yard work. Little trees we're cutting, we're trimming. Yeah, there we go. So have a blessed day, everybody. Yeah, cut the FUD. That's what he's doing. He's cutting the FUD. Yeah, I like that. Thank you, Jorge. Cut the FUD, and I gotta go. Thank you, everybody.